For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast is fueled by the Man Shake. I lost 30 kilos in 10 months using this meal replacement shake. If you want to support the show and max in my weight loss journey, or to even start your own, click the link in the description below. The Man Shake. Real blokes, real results.
For the Players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast. Over 40 years of playing PlayStation, 8+ years that games make. I want to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, come and check out our socials. Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join us as the conversation happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculture where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are listening to us on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. And if you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculture, as well as our merchandise store, popculture.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. How you been, man?
Not too bad.
Not too
Not
bad?
too bad. I'm a little less hairy this week.
That's true.
Nice.
For those watching the not watching the YouTube, I should say, you'll notice that actually you won't notice. You'll hear that Max has less hair. His face is much tidier.
I wouldn't go that far. It's definitely not tighter. It's just more visible now. But basically, we had a couple of hot days in a row, and I'm like, I need to get rid of all of my hair. Yeah. So I went to the haircut finally. And
then you should shave the beard as well.
Yeah. But that's basically growing back now.
Oh, just brag.
Been like 2 days. No, it's good. I feel a lot lighter. Yeah. I probably lost like 3 kilos worth of hair off my face. So
yeah,
that's a win, right?
It is a much tidier look than normal. I think when you said the choice of tidy was probably the right word. I think it was right.
Yeah, well, my hair was at the length where it was just too short to tie up, but way too long to do anything else with. It was just a big hot mess, especially coming into summer. So yeah,
you 100% made the right call. Even though like we're about to just get rain and shit, at least you know what your hair's not gonna get curly now. So that's good to know in the rain. But I wrapped up my third of my 3 weeks in a row of catch-up wrestling shows. So for those that don't know, I think I mentioned last week, DMDU or Deathmatch Down Under, a bunch of their shows got delayed into November and December as they were meant to be earlier in the year or throughout the year. So yeah, that all kind of got smashed into the last 3 weeks. So they're all done and dusted now with the show last night at the time of recording was in Ballarat at the venue called The Volta. It was it's relevant to the show because it's a video game themed episode match. Sorry. So they had the show was called Through the Fire and the Flames on Expert in a reference to Guitar Hero and Rock Band. So the main event was a death match with the use of weapons being the PlayStation drums and guitars for Guitar Hero Live and Rock Band, donated by me. So it was good to see them get utterly destroyed because they wrapped that drum set in so much barbed wire. And then someone got thrown into it. But what was insane is because when I was thinking about it, those Guitar Hero controllers are built very sturdy because they are they were built, designed for children, right? The idea is they could play them and drag them, drop them, and it wouldn't be too bad. But turns out they are not built for hitting another individual with across the shoulder and or back because that exploded. Absolutely exploded. It was awesome. So it was very, very good. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I'm looking a little bit sad because there's no shows until the back end of January. which is not until the show here in Geelong. So if anyone from our listenership is based in Geelong, please go and check out the Palais. It is DMDU Malice at the Palais. Please come. Please check it out. You're supporting me, who support and helping support my friends, and you will also have an awesome night of entertainment, the likes of which you'll never have seen in Geelong. I can promise you that. A couple of Geelong-based wrestlers in there as well, so that some you may or may not know. Edward Dusk is another, as is Will Walker, both having matches there. Geelong boys, make sure you go and grab some tickets. It's relatively cheap. Come check it out and have a damn good time.
Look, I said it last week, and I'll say it again this week. They went for the wrong tagline. It should have just been Melee at the Palais.
Yeah, but Melee at the Palais would kind of work, but also, I guess it's the same play on words, because some people read Melee as Melee, so Melee at the Palais doesn't. It actually is kind of better than Malice at the Palais, isn't it? I'll let them know for next time.
I'll let them know for next time.
Puck, meanwhile, use the Rock Band guitars will stop functioning if you blow on them too hard. That's true. The Rock Band ones are a bit poo. I do have a busted one here at the house that James likes to play on. But yeah, it's a good point. Very, very good point. Speaking of playing games with controllers, though, Max, what have you been playing this week?
A fair bit, actually. So, generally the same games as usual. So I'm still, jumping into Destiny every now and again. I'm still playing Diablo 2 Resurrected every now and again. But I got to play last night the latest game from Heart Machine. I got to play Solar Ash.
Yeah, so you reached out to me, was it yesterday?
Yesterday afternoon.
Solar Ash. Do we have it? I'm like, no, it's a fucking Saturday. He's like, oh, can we? So yeah, so thank you to the kind support of those that support us on Patreon. It allowed us to pick up Solar Ash for Max. I'll be probably playing it this evening if I can get my hands off something else. But so yeah, what's the rundown?
Yeah, so this is the latest from Heart Machine, known for Hyperlight Drifter.
Yep.
So this is also one of the newly published Annapurna Interactive games. So the basic premise of the story is your planet is about to be destroyed by a mega black hole. And you and a bunch of your allies have been tasked with basically building a device that will shut down this black hole. So at its core, it is a puzzle platforming game with very light combat mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you're just traversing. You've crash landed. And you have lost contact with the rest of your team, so you're going to basically turn on all their conduit points to make the machine work to save your planet. Early on, you find out that the conduits have been powered down because there's these anomalies which take form in the form of boss fights. Mm. So each area you have to fix a few you do a few tasks, complete a few puzzles, which basically reveals the boss or the anomaly of that location, and then you go and deal with that anomaly. So I am too deep. I've done the first two anomalies. The boss fights are really, really cool. So the way, because this is a puzzle platform right at its core, essentially these things are these massive monsters akin to Shadow of the Colossus.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there are safe points on these bosses that you can walk on without taking damage, and you basically have to platform across the bosses, hitting weak points as you go to extend your timer. And then once you get to the end of the timer run, you get to deal a lethal blow to the boss, and you do that in most game mechanics. You got to do it 3 times, and each time the layout of the anomaly changes, so there won't be as many safe places to stand on. You might have to use your grapple to get across some of the gaps. You have access to double jumps and boosts, and each time you hit the anomaly, it does make it harder for you on the next run through it. It's a very interesting way to do boss fights, because at its core it's simplistic. It's literally just square to attack, and as long as you hit it, it takes damage, and it's a lethal blow. But the difficulty in the fights are the fast-paced movement and platforming that you have to perform to get to these points. So it's really cool. The art style is absolutely fantastic. there were times where I got the movement can be very quick, especially during those anomaly fights where you're zipping and teleporting around very quickly, and this the whole camera starts spin. I got a little bit sick at one point because I kind of lost track of where I was. So I was teleporting to a tail to get a hit, and then teleporting to like the underbelly and hitting it again, and then because the movement very early on it teaches you that there's a mechanic called skating. So you hold down your left trigger and you can skate, and as long as you're on a skatable surface, you can go vertical, upside down, along the walls, and it does kind of rotate with you, and it can get kind of trippy at times, especially in conjunction with boosting, grappling, and double jumping.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get motion sick, aren't I?
Nah, it's not too bad, but it's absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
So I played for about 2.5 hours last night. I'm about it gives you a progress on your save file. I'm about 23% of the way through, so the game doesn't seem to be overly long, which is awesome. It's what I love to see these days when I don't have as much time to play games as I usually do. But yeah, I cannot wait to play more.
Yeah, so I'm keen to give it a look at tonight when I return to the console and play some things. But yeah, other than that, because it wasn't really on my list, I remember seeing it in.
Because I think it's been shown at a lot of the PlayStation State of Plays, and I think it was at the launch event for the PS5.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm not mistaken.
pretty sure that it was at least in a recent-ish state of play, I believe. Whereas enough to sort of get a little bit of love and focus. Because I believe the Hyperlight Drifter did a pretty good job on PlayStation 4, I believe. So it would make sense why I got some love here. Plus, it's, as you said, from a independent game showcase space, it does have a very cool visual style.
It's sitting at an 80% Metacritic at the moment. Most of the reviews I've seen have reviewed it favorably. So yeah, I was that alone got me to check it out, and I'm very glad that I did. So it is available for both PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. I'm obviously playing it on PS5.
Fantastic.
You do get both when you purchase the
That's
title.
true. You do. So, because what I have been playing more of this week is Solar Ash, and not Solar Ash. That's what you've been playing. Death's Door. Because I just had a major stroke. I've been continuing playing Death's Door after talking about it last week, and that game is a stack of fun. Now, would I say it's Game of the Year contenders we discussed last week, off the back of the way sort of friends of the show, Paul James, and have loved it. Now, because you were on firm space, they're like, yeah, this could be a good independent Game of the Year, and I would agree that it would certainly be in the discussion. But the more time I'm spending with it, I am still enjoying it, but I'm not like that confident on it, I guess. So where I'm at, there are the essential premise of the game is that there are 3 major souls that you need to obtain as a Reaper, sort of Reaper of Souls. Essentially 3 mini boss fights. 3 major bosses, and then I don't know if there's anything else afterwards. So I am 2 bosses deep right now. I took the first one out the other day, and then I'm just on the second one now, almost literally in the boss fight when I left it. I do really, really, really enjoy this game, and I love the design of it. I love pretty much everything about it. Like when I say, do I think it's Game of the Year worthy? I don't know, but it's not because of the lack of quality or misunderstanding of the quality. For me, I just don't know what my Game of the Year at the moment is, because we'll be thinking about that in the next couple of weeks, 2 weeks. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm tired. But I think we'll make the list. Even though I sit here going, there's the hesitation doesn't come from like, oh well, here are some gripes that I have with it, because off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Or I can't articulate any gripes if there are any. And I just sort of think about it and I go, oh yeah, it's great across the board, but like, is that enough? So I am getting a better grip of the standard mechanics. So with it being that Metroidvania-esque hack slash sort of approach, with a lot of that, hacking and dodging, not in a Dark Souls-esque fashion, more of a, what was the example? Was it Titan Souls?
Titan Souls.
Yeah, in a more Titan Souls style, which I am having a good bit of fun with, especially when it comes to just playing a little bit smarter when you get into the battle scenarios. Because one of the things that I heard mentioned in another show was the idea that there is no health bars in the game. Like, you have a health bar as your player, but the enemies do not have one per se. So when you hit them, you don't see the damage in a number representation of how much health you've taken. It is run solely by visual indicators. So as you hit them, they begin to crack, and like a pink light starts to come through the surface of the skin, indicating, all right, cool. So if they're looking pretty fluorescent at this moment, like, all right, well, you don't have much left in you. So that's fun, and especially once you start to learn the monster types and the monster method, you can be then in a position where you can be more comfortable to, like, okay, well, I know this creature and its equivalents take 2 hits. I know these ones take 3. I know I can get these ones done in 6, etc. So you can still go in with a tactic, because there are different regions or different biomes, but the base monster pool are the same, but they just have sort of visual flares in each space. So it does ramp up difficulty a little bit as you progress further about new enemy types that come in. So if you're not upgrading your character correctly or hitting the right slots within the skill tree, then you will have a rough time. Because you can rely on skill, but I think skill alone may not be enough if you're not upgrading things in certain paths. Saying that, though, in terms of upgrades, I have really enjoyed the path that it's going down with the upgrade system, because in true Metroidvania fashion, as you clear an area and you take out the boss, you receive a new special ability, for lack of a better word, or it's a magic ability in this case. So an example, the first one you get is fire. So the idea is that you can use that as a offensive weapon, but also an assistance in puzzles. So then you go, oh shit, well, now that I have this information, then you can go back to old areas, rerun them, and sort of notice those spots where fire would have helped you out, whether it be in an enemy or whether it be in some sort of area puzzle. You go, oh cool, well now, because as you head into the next area, they will give you indicators of what that ability can be used for. So when you do your second run or third, whichever how you decide to do it, you run through it again. You go, oh, now I have the fire ability. I can hit these torches. I can hit these log piles, etc., etc. And then next, suddenly the whole extra area of that biome is opened up. You can wander on through, find new enemies, find new weapons, just start harvesting souls, I guess, because they're very similar to standard delivery of these sort of action adventure games. Everything is based on souls currency. So then you go and that's what you use to upgrade all your things. So yeah. So now, because as I said, I'm further than you are now, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So I'm in the area fairly early on. I've beaten the first boss. I'm at the garden after the graveyard?
Yeah, the overgrown ruins.
Mm.
So there's the graveyard, then there's the mushroom.
Yeah.
The mushroom dungeons are in there, then there's the ceramic manor.
I'm in the ceramic manor at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm quite ahead of you at the moment.
Yeah.
And then
I have not played it in quite some time.
Yeah. And I know it's been this great little pick up and play game for me. Not because it is there are the runs on it are quite small. Not in the same way that Hades is a pick up and play game as well, which you and I have both played and spent a bit of time with throughout this year. There's a slight difference in its pick up and play. I can run it for a little while and I'll just pause it because it's not so intense or so demoralizing that I just quit because it sucked because I hating it. But it's easy for me to go, all right, well, I'll just push a little bit further. I'll push a little bit further, or I'll explore this pathway and see where it takes me. So say if I happen to get up a little bit earlier for work because now that it's summer, the light kicks in earlier in the morning.
Body clock's a bit
fucked. So I wake up and I go, well, okay, well, I've got some time. I've done all my shit. I'm ready to go. And, work's X amount of distance away from where I sleep. So, all right, well, I can allow 10, 15 minutes of gameplay. Boop it up. And thanks to that super sweet SSD, shit's uploaded, shit's ready to go in minutes, like seconds, sorry. I'm like, and I'll play for a couple of minutes and then head on out to work. And yeah, Death's Door has been fantastic for that. I have spent a little bit more time with the game that as I can't disclose currently. I'll have more to say in next episode, as well as some work ideally alongside another outlet. Just as one of those sort of review chats that we do with the likes over at Player 2. So I'll be sitting there and chatting with them and getting that done. So what else? Is there anything else I've been playing? I've been diving into a little bit more Far Cry 6 because I just kind of... Sorry, my son's come in with his new toy because it's been his birthday this week. He turned 5. So he's got himself a new transforming truck robot toy that turns into a T-Rex and makes a bunch of dinosaur noises. But no, yeah. And what I love about it is the dinosaur toy has the most Australian accent ever. It's beautiful. It's like Jai Courtney in the Suicide Squad voiced the T-Rex. And it's unquestionably Australian. I love it.
Then what about the mouth?
And inside the mouth is an engine because it's a car, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I've been ticking off some more time in Far Cry 6.
Daddy also just go up and this go down.
Yeah, it does.
And the
Yeah. So Far Cry 6 I've been working on as well, so clearing up the second area. That game is just dense. It is so dense.
Stop it. Stop me making a sound.
Quickly, buddy. Can you go to mummy, please? Or just don't press the buttons. So that game, sorry, bro. So that game is super dense. I'm chipping it off as I go. I jumped back into the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, Definitive Edition, into GTA 3 specifically. There has been some visual improvements, visual features with the most recent update, but it is still very much rough. Like it kind of looks better, but it also looks worse. Like in the first time I played, I'm like, oh, this game looks kind of clean and tidy for a PS2 upres, but I don't know. Like I'm playing it the other day, I can really feel its jank and I can really feel its age.
I dove into San Andreas last night, and it is a lot less dark than what it was when I first originally played it.
Yeah,
but it is still also rough.
Yeah, like it's cleaned up, but it's still not ideal. You know what I'm saying? Like it's it's just interesting because like even something as simple as like this is a mechanical base. Like I don't remember the missions being so simple.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, especially in GTA 3 because it's the beginning of the open world genre, right? This was the beginning. They hadn't hit any of the beats yet. They didn't know. So like it's like drive here, come back, and it's only like 2 blocks away. You're like, and so you just start hiking through missions where, from memory at least, they were one thing. This could have been at the time not seeing an open world game like this, therefore wanting to explore a little bit more. I'm just seeing it. I'm like, this is delivering way less than I expected, which is fine. I guess it's fine. I ain't mad about it. It's just like, okay, just caught me off guard, I guess, for lack of a better descriptor. A little bit of Tiny Tina's as well, but only a sort of a minuscule amount. Anything else you've been playing with, Max?
No, just like I said, the games I'm married to, playing a lot of League of Legends, playing a lot of Diablo 2 still, playing... next week, for those who are interested, Destiny 2 are celebrating, Bungie's celebrating its 30th anniversary, so there is new content dropping on Destiny 2. So it'll have a new dungeon. One of the big exotics from Destiny 1 is making its return, the Galahorn rocket launcher. New 6-man game mode is rejoining as well. Will be coming to all players. The dungeon is behind a price wall. You do have to pay for the anniversary event. if you have pre-ordered the special edition or the deluxe edition of the Witch Queen, that does come with the 30th anniversary pack, and you will have access to that as of, I think Wednesday morning, as this coming Wednesday morning. So I'm looking forward to that, because that'll get me back in a big way, because for the last, I'm going to say 5 weeks, Destiny has not had any new content. And that has just been par for the course of them doing essentially, I think, what is close to a 6-month season.
Yeah, because
of the delay of the Witch Queen. Because obviously that would have launched probably September, October. It got pushed back to February, and they had nothing to put in that gap. So it's a real shame, but unfortunately, it is what it is. And yeah, that should be good.
Yeah, delays fuck with everyone. So yeah, it's interesting to had the season extended by accident. It's been kind of quiet. I imagine people are still grinding and still playing, but it's cool to have some new content coming in that will allow people to give a bit of a push and shove in the right direction. Anyways, before we get into the main section of the show, we talk about the news and upcoming whatevers. We have a section called our Get Less Fat Update, where we tell you about our weight loss journeys. For those that don't know, I have now lost 40 kilos in 18 months using a product called the Man Shake. Is a meal replacement shake that I am an ambassador for. So each and every week, Max and I come in to share the stories of our weight loss journeys, where I'm at in what I guess is going to become my maintenance phase shortly, and Max going through his journey, which began at the start of this year. Max, how goes the week for you?
It's been a pretty average week. I haven't been shaking this week, but I also haven't been going crazy. I'm pretty stable. I'm sitting where I'm sitting at the moment. And until I probably get more disciplined and back on the shakes, it's probably going to stay that way. Yeah. So I'm just and coming up to Christmas, that maybe we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, so I myself, I haven't weighed myself since last week when I did do it. It's just accessibility to some scales. And then with that, because it's been my son's birthday and I've sort of gone out a little bit here and there as sort of, just regaining some socialness, I have sort of eaten a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have. Like, obviously, even today with my son's birthday party, that I had some family come around, so I ate an unnecessary amount of sweets. So, this coming week, I will very much have to return to the gym and really dive into the shakes properly, because I am going to be huge. So it was almost like I hit my goal and I'm like, well, now I'm going to fuck it. I hit my goal, hands in the air. Woo! Yum, 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 yum. And then
have some celebration pie.
I did have some yeah. So it has been a bit of celebration this week with my son and just socializing, and even yesterday with the wrestling, going out, and then we went and had some Carl's Jr. Because fuck not, and it was awesome. It does feel good to throw off the shackles.
Can't believe you were in Ballarat. You didn't go to Gravy Spot.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was more of I went here last time. I'm gonna go here again because I enjoyed it last time. And the original plan was to go to the all you can eat Pizza Hut that's there, because that doesn't exist anymore, and the novelty of it alone. And then I'm like, you know what? I actually don't really want to eat a lot of pizza, or any pizza, so I didn't go there. But I will have to organize a time to go there purely for the nostalgia and the lols of an all you can eat pizza place, because they don't really exist anymore. So where I'm at in terms of what I'm weighing right now, probably a lot, because there has been a lot of carbs as well. So I imagine there's a mix of carbs and water retention. So I think once I sort of get back into the wagon again, coming as of tomorrow, because I'll return to the shakes for my breakfast and my lunch, and then I have my Muscle Chef meals for my dinners. I do imagine it sort of picking itself back up and going, oh yeah, cool, you just had a week off. Let's get back into it. Like I said, it hasn't been indulging overeating or anything. It just has been a lax in what I have been doing. So yeah, I'll try push back to. This is under the assumption that I have gained weight, which also checks out. I don't have any proof on the scales, but I imagine that. I'm just kind of like, all right, I expect it to be this. Let's get back on the wagon. For all I know, I could be the exact same weight. I doubt it, but I could be. We'll have to wait and find out. But if you want to support Max and I on our weight loss journeys, or maybe even start your own, if you head over to the link bit.ly/FTP Manshake, there is a link in the description below. By clicking on that link, you don't even have to buy anything. You help support the show. So go have a look. Maybe you can, change your life just like I did. As I said, I've lost just under 30% of my body weight, like 29.6 something percent of my body, something crazy. So losing 30% ain't nothing to fuck around about. Max, let's get into the main portion of the show that's called Inform the Players. We tell you all about what happened this week in PlayStation.
Well, let's kick things off with the PlayStation Plus titles. So the leaks were true. We are getting Godfall Challenger Edition, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Mortal Shell on PS4, and Lego DC Supervillains also on PS4. It, however, should be noted that the version of Godfall has no campaign. It drops the player in at max level with endgame gear to do the endgame gameplay loop. This is not a full version of the title.
Yeah, so Max, I'm gonna check something with you because I haven't played Godfall. Isn't this endgame stuff? Wasn't that the shittest part of the game?
There was no end. Okay, so when I played this game, there was no end game.
So
Since then, I think there has been a substantial addition to the end game, but I cannot confirm that because I haven't played it since maybe a month after launch.
Okay, so I would like to think that there is some end game stuff now. But
I would imagine that there is end game if they're selling a version of the game that is purely just end game.
Yeah. So
I mean, we'll find out in literally 2 days because they go live on Tuesday evening. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to play this because I didn't want to play Godfall before, and nor do I want to play just the end game because the end game loops is the shit that I hate anyway. Because like, hey, can you grind for the next 80 hours? I'm like, no, I won't.
Also, earlier this week, there was some firmware updates. A new system update took place on the PlayStation 5, and can we all guess what the patch notes were for this one? That's it. It's the system software update improves system performance.
Yeah,
no other
keep
news.
that performance on point.
And possibly the biggest news from Sony this week, and this phrase is totally stolen by another podcaster, PlayStation Plow.
Hot.
Yeah. So according to a new Bloomberg report, Sony is planning to combine PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now to create a new PlayStation subscription service to compete with Games Pass. Citing trusted sources and leaked documents, the report states that the service is set to launch around spring 2022. That would be autumn for us. Which is, I believe, first quarter.
Yes, that's March, April, May.
Yeah. So that could result with the phasing out of PlayStation Now as its own service. This service, codenamed Spartacus, and this idea seems to be an amalgamation of PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. Subscribers will have access to a huge catalogs of games similar to that of Games Pass. It is also claimed that this new service is currently set to split into 3 tiers. The first tier includes the existing PlayStation Plus subscription, that is access to online multiplayer, cloud saves, and monthly games. The second tier will add a large selection of PlayStation 4 titles, with PlayStation 5 titles being added down the line. And the third tier throws in, quote, extended demos and game streaming along with access to PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and PSP games.
Well. I have a couple of things that is making me wonder, right? Now, the first one is a given, which no mentions in the chat, is around now. PlayStation Now is not available in Australia. So if they're like, oh, PlayStation Now is part of the standard bundle, cool. That doesn't help us. So technically, we would be paying the same and getting less value, presumably. And then, of course, if you start throwing in these extras, that's fine. But it depends on how it's available. If all these PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP games or PS4 games, whichever, are part of this Games Pass model, is what they're working on, and it's built and it's being delivered through PlayStation Now, it's literally not available in this country.
Yeah, which means we will still just be at tier 1, which is our current PlayStation Plus subscription, and nothing will change for us.
That's very, very true. But then again, it's a circumstance. If you look around the world and you see everyone else is getting these extra services, where us and I imagine other companies, you know,
The issue is, and I put this in a chat with us and a few other people. I don't think that because of despite the because obviously this is a direct comparison to Xbox's Games Pass. The reason why Games Pass is so one of the reasons Games Pass is so big is the fact that first party titles get released on Games Pass day and date.
yes.
I cannot see Sony ever doing that.
Neither do I, and I don't think they ever will. And the reason being is,
And especially considering the fact that their second tier is a large selection of PlayStation 4 titles, with PlayStation 5 titles possibly being added down the line.
yeah,
So it means we're not going to get any new games, or if we do get new games, we're not going to be getting the best version of those new games.
yeah. So where I'm at, I would agree that PlayStation, by not putting them on day one, are making the right call. And this is from something that we discussed previously when it comes to how each company is working their delivery model. So, Xbox, Microsoft, they want Xbox to be a service. They don't care about the for them, they're not caring about the sales. For them, they're not caring about how much money a game can make upon release. It's how much money can they make from their subscription. So they want lapsed individuals that forget that they are paying for it, and then the money keeps coming, because that's one of the great benefits of subscription services. You are getting guaranteed money each month, each quarter, each half year, whichever. If you have X amount of subscribers, you are getting X amount of dollars. There is unquestionable math there, right? So you look at it and you go, well, we have X million subscribers for our Games Pass. Even if it declines by, say, 2%, you're still making a lot. Like, you're not reliant on that entire influx of dollars that you get once, like in that 2-week window for every game that releases. So, and then with PlayStation's business model around wanting to be the best games are available here, that's when you're going to see, the games that make those 2-week gangbuster monies. Because if you look at right now, even Microsoft first party games aren't making any charts. Like when it comes to the top rated games of the year or whatever, or even the best selling games of the year or best selling games of the week, even they don't make the count. Why? Because most people are technically paying for them through Games Pass. Which, once again, it depends on what your mission is. It depends on what your on what you plan to deliver and achieve from your business model, right?
Yeah, of course. But from a consumer standpoint, it instantly devalues Sony's version because they're not getting something of similar to what they're already getting.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it makes sense for Sony's business model. But they're targeting this to their consumers, and their consumers are going to be like, well, we get this over here. You're not willing to give us this here. You want us to pay for a subscription service and still have to buy your games as well?
Yeah, look, that I understand.
And considering the fact that we're, especially now here in Australia, when the RRP of a PS5 title is $125 on top of a monthly, I guess, granted, we're already paying a monthly subscription with PlayStation Plus. But that is obviously going to increase with these tier systems.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of coin for something that I'm going to have to buy anyway.
Yeah, that is a very good point. I guess because even, my approach to all this is unquestionably based on the privileged position that we have when it comes to game availability. Because the nature of us making content, we are very lucky that we are able to receive review codes. Like, don't get me wrong, we've put the work in, we've earned them, but it is still a massive benefit for what we do. So I understand that, but I would argue that having games free, quote unquote, on day one actually devalues the game. So yes, I agree with you that having a game not on there devalues the surface, the service. Sorry. However, I believe the game being distributed for free devalues that game. And for PlayStation, at least my understanding of the company and how they're marketing, how they work, is they want their games to be demonstrative of value.
Mm.
And if once they make that decision, they will lose that perception. It is essential, because then PlayStation, at least within their first parties, have created the public opinion that very similar to a Nintendo seal of approval. When you get a first party studio, it's pretty likely it's going to be awesome. And so in terms of you shelving out your money, sure, then that's not too bad. But I think the interesting thing here is the selling point around the extra on the tier 3, right? Extended demos, okay, it's just demos with more time. That's interesting. Game streaming. So we don't have game streaming up until this point. That's interesting.
I would imagine that game streaming is in tier 3 because you will need to stream the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and PSP.
Yeah, you will need to stream the 3 because
that's probably why it's there.
Yeah. So
it's probably not an added service. It's probably a necessity, and they're throwing it in there to give the false impression that you're getting more value from getting a higher tier.
Yeah. So the way I see it is, Sony is this is the I was listening to Sacred Symbols, another PlayStation podcast, and Chris Raygun, one of the hosts, made a comment of this being almost like a monkey's paw circumstance, right? A monkey's paw situation, where you go, oh man, I can we get backwards compatibility? And PlayStation went, sure can, but you got to pay for it. Like, we got what we wanted, but we didn't specify. We didn't make the wish specific enough.
Specific enough, yeah.
So, because it's like, hey, you're getting the backwards compatibility, something that you said you wanted, right? And then if no one jumps in the tier 2 and no one uses the service, they can go, well, no one wants backwards compatibility. We have data to prove so. So that there's always this conception. And I would agree with the conception that individuals that want backwards compatibility are within the minority. Very much so.
The issue is, what price point does this come in at? Because if it's to compete with Games Pass, I mean, Games Pass Ultimate is $16 a month. And that comes with Live and Games Pass on PC and Games Pass on console, and it comes with their new xCloud service.
Yeah.
Like at what price point does Sony bring this in at? Because what are we paying a month at the moment for PlayStation Plus? Like $80 a year.
I'd say $80 a year.
Yeah. That's obviously going to go up with these tiers.
So it works out to be about $6.67 a month.
Yeah.
Which is not bad.
Well,
because
let's have a look at Games Pass for a year.
They're only releasing. You can only really buy it in 3-month lots, at least on cards. So I don't think there's a reduction for a yearly.
Yeah, well, see, I'm in the weird spot where I actually have 2 years of Games Pass just sitting there. Which makes it hard. Well, that's the thing. So for it works out to be what, $10 a month, $10.95 a month. Yeah.
So the way the way I see it, in terms of the Games Pass, or at least the tiered structure, I would expect, say, $20 difference, right? Or let's say $10, $15 difference. So right now, if you don't have a yearly subscription, you pay about $11 a month, $9.95 a month for PS Plus.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Yeah, let me find out how much it is. But then
normally I buy a year's worth whenever it goes on sale, since it can stack and it just rolls over. At the end of the year.
I'm pretty much in the same space. But let's have a look. Because so the way I'm originally thinking it is that.
But I can't imagine that PlayStation will match their price.
Yeah, so a 1-month membership of PS Plus is $11.95 if you buy it by itself, right? So as I said, so that's
And Xbox Ultimate is $10.95 a month if you buy it by itself.
yeah. So what I'm thinking, the most reasonable way would be to potentially drop the price of the base model a little bit, and then make maybe tier 2 the standard price, and then tier 3 would be $5-ish more a month. My original model was like $10 a tier. So say it's $11 right now, then it'd be $22, then it'd be $33 a month.
But then you look at,
Or maybe 11
and now
and then 16 and then 21.
And I mean, we can use Nintendo as an example now. They just jacked up their price by like $25 to add Nintendo 64 and Sega to their online services.
Yeah.
And their online is hot garbage.
Yeah. And like if you get the right level of mark for the company, they'll pay it. Calling myself out there, because if this option is available, I'm going to go to tier 3, because I'm sure.
Well, see, I don't think I would ever play a PS1, PS2, or PS3 game.
I like, for me at least initially, I'd like the
I
idea.
like the idea of I've liked the idea of
And of
saying,
course
yeah,
the
I'll
content,
totally
yeah.
use it, I'll totally do it, but I know I won't.
Yeah. It would depend on the selection of titles that are available, you know, and depending on how it's supported. Like if there's trophy support as an example, sure, why not? You know what I mean? Like I think it would come down to a couple of different factors. But for me, and even it's mostly just from a content space. I'd be like, well, I'm going to play this. I'm going to pay the extra for at least a couple of months, experience the new tier, see whether it is worth my time, worth my dollars. Well, the answer is a presumable no. But I guess we'll find out. As I said, I don't see it being a too staggeringly different price. Originally, I did, because I assumed it was less a month because I pay it yearly. But it's at $11.95 from a base model, not a yearly subscription price. As I said, I would argue that it's $5 up per tier. So $11.95 would become $16.95, and then $16.95 to $21.95. So realistically, it's $10 more than Xbox Game Pass, which is, once again, I would be with you in terms of the arguing of the actual to the customer value would be less. But I think at least similar to Nintendo, the legacy of the console is what will convince that, and it'll essentially be the idea of the whales on mobile devices. Like grab the people that have disposable income, that are willing to pay that extra amount to get it there. That's how I see it. Any final thoughts on the PlayStation Game Pass?
No.
All right, cool. Because
I think I've said my piece.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's get into some litigious space here, Max. So, It Takes Two is requested to be taken down. Haze Light, developer of It Takes Two, which was the independent game that released this year. They make cool co-op experiences. Max is putting it on one of his lists as the top games of the year. Has had to abandon ownership of the game's title in a trademark dispute from publisher Take-Two. The studio was hit with a claim by the publisher shortly after the co-op title's release earlier this year, so around January, according to a report from Eurogamer. Obviously, there are similarities between the two names, which has led to Take-Two getting its lawyers involved. Documentation shows that Haze Light dropped ownership of the name It Takes Two just days after launch. Asked for comment on the situation, the developer says it's, quote, hopeful it will be resolved, end quote. But Take-Two has yet to offer any statement on the matter. Right now, all this means is that Haze Light is unable to protect the game's name. Take-Two isn't taking any further legal action for now anyway, so the title will remain as it is unless the studio decides to rename it.
So I did some digging into this and got onto the US Patent Office website. Since June 2020, there has been over 160 claims from Take-Two across the board for so many different things. There was a clothing company that got hit because their company slogan was "Dress like a rock star," and apparently Take-Two owned the word rock star. A gentleman by the name of Max Fane owns his own company, Max Fane LLC. They sent a copyright claim to him because it was too close to Max Payne. Yeah, it seems to be that over the pandemic, they'll basically hit a bunch of people with random
like cease and desist or pay his money.
Trademark disputes, yeah.
Well, when you got to find dollar, and
anything,
you're paying for these lawyers
with
regardless. So
anything with the letter R in it was hit because of the R trademark from Rockstar. It's almost as bad as Bethesda stating that the word scrolls is trademarked to them, and no one can use the word scrolls. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
But this happened in January. Why are we only hearing about it now? Why is it now that it's become big news? Like, obviously, it still sucks. But why now in December, almost a year after the fact, are we hearing about it and everyone getting all up in a...
Like, I do wonder about that too, because I sent you this article and being like, the fuck? And you went, and you essentially came back to me the next day being like, I've looked into this and this is what I've found. I'm like, wait, so has anybody else done this?
Yeah, it
doesn't take away
it
the
happened in
weirdness
like
of it
January
all,
or February. Like, it's weird.
Unless there's like a time frame that which his information can be
but it
obtained in like a freedom of information act.
Puck puts in the chat, I assumed it was sales, but as far as I'm aware, Take-Two have taken no money from them, and Hazelight are still making all the money from the sales of their title. It's
a power thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's power and to ensure the ownership towards the brand. And I guess that it might be a circumstance of, well, if this game did really, really well, you better not make a sequel.
But it's also not like it was a stinker of a game and they're like, please don't associate this hot garbage with us.
Yeah.
The game was good. It was reviewed well. Critically, it did well. Like, I think
the difficulty is because, like, I don't even think about Take-Two anymore. I think about 2K. I think about Rockstar. Like, Take-Two are a parent company. They don't develop games. They are a publisher, right? So it's a circumstance of I forget they exist half the time because I think about more of the development teams, if anything. So that's
now this has now brought them back into the radar. They're back on people's maps now.
It's like once again, like Bethesda when they contested Pray for the Gods. So the small independent team had to respell Prey with Praey just to avoid being sued. So that was interesting. But that's all right. Moving on.
Talk Game Awards, Ryan.
Ugh.
The Game Awards will kick off Thursday the 9th of December. That's Friday the 10th at noon for Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. They will be streamed on pretty much every platform known to mankind. There is no runtime has been confirmed for this year's show. However, 2020's show lasted just over 3 hours long. Addressing the Activision Blizzard situation, Keighley has now stated on Twitter, quote, beyond its nominations, I can confirm that Activision Blizzard will not be part of this year's Game Awards. Keighley goes on to say that the Game Awards is a time of celebration for this industry, the biggest form of entertainment in the world. There is no place for abuse, harassment, or predatory practices in any company or community. I also realize that we have a big platform which can accelerate and inspire change, and we are committed to that. But we all need to work together to build a better and more inclusive environment so everyone feels safe to build the world's best games.
Get fucked. Get fucked. If you want to stand there and talk about the platform at which you have and the power of change that it can deliver, then do it. Don't be a fucking pussy about it. And that's what Jeff Keighley is doing. Like originally the statement was, "Oh, we're not going to take sides," quote unquote.
Yeah.
And like this isn't an issue about taking sides. An issue of people are being treated shit in the workplace. People are being sexually harassed. People are being sexually assaulted in the workplace. That is not something you take sides on. Of how other individuals in the world are treated is not something you go, yeah, no, I'm not going to say anything. Like, that's not how this works. If people are being treated like shit and you have the power and the platform to literally prevent it from happening and you choose not to, you are clearly showing who you are and what you believe in this system. Because right now, Jeff Keighley isn't going, like, his decision here isn't based on a moral standpoint. It is based on a purely fiscal, purely financial move. As the idea of, I can't talk shit about Activision because they pay me a lot of money at some point. Like, if they have some sort of content release, I'm like, he doesn't want to burn bridges. And I understand that, at least because within this space as well, the gaming industry is very reliant on friends and connections that you have in certain places. So if you suddenly start burning bridges, well, what are you going to do?
I mean, but it's not like he hasn't done something like this in the past.
He has. Like, he used the power of his platform to talk about his fucking best mate Kojima and how he wasn't allowed to go to the Game Awards, and how, he was being all bullshitted by Konami. Jeff Keighley has nothing but time, nothing but endless amount of free work. I will do whatever I can to make the power of change for my mate Kojima. But fuck faceless people that they're being assaulted in the workplace. Nah, bro. Nah, I ain't got no time for that. Look, I wasn't going to watch the awards anyway. Still not going to. You can do whatever you want, individuals out there in the world, but like...
I must admit, I prefer the trailer montage at the end.
Yeah. So essentially...
2 hours after the show ends and someone's collated them all on YouTube.
Even with that in mind, right, we look about this. Like, if the Game Awards are what they are, or are what he says they are, a platform to showcase and celebrate games for that year, then he shouldn't give a fuck about what Activision say. And he should do the right thing. Because what we're seeing here is how important the money that these individuals bring. So it's not about the awards. It's not about celebrating excellent work within the industry. It's a platform to showcase new titles, to show new trailers. It is marketing. Like, the Game Awards, and they have been for a very long time, are just extensions of the marketing train. And I think the fact that we see so many advertisements at the best times, the fact that we see more trailers, more reveals every year on year, right? Because that is where the money is. Individuals have to pay money to reveal their shit. So, Keighley has made the wrong call here. He has put the money and the well-being of his award show ahead of other individuals' safety. Now, Jeff Keighley has been in the industry long enough. He has enough power. He has enough clout and understanding, you would presume, that he could make this call. And if most outlets or most gaming companies, PlayStation and Xbox included, are against this mistreatment at Activision, are against Bobby Kotick and his actions and his decisions, then he could survive. If PlayStation can make a fucking half-assed comment about this with a relatively defined stance, but also a nothing stance, then why can't Jeff do the same? PlayStation have more at stake with this relationship with Activision than he ever will. Why keep sucking on the teat? It's like, you picked up and played Call of Duty the other month. No, I got no fault to that at all. You keep playing Diablo, a Blizzard game. I understand that. But I myself, I'm not going out of my way to rush to play Activision or Blizzard games. I don't play Blizzard games anyway. It's not, for me, it's not a cognitive decision of, I'm not going to play it because fuck them. Because part of me understands that by buying a game or playing the game, you are supporting more than one shit individual. You are supporting a team. You are supporting that team that have had mistreatment, that have had crunched, right? They've had all these examples of incorrect workplaces. But I also don't want to support the company in general.
I know there was talk. Sorry to interrupt. I know there was just because you brought up Call of Duty. I know there was talk earlier this week that a lot of people from Raven Studios, the guys behind the last Call of Duty, they did the campaign. They were promised pay rises, and a ton of them got fired this week.
Woo! Look, when you're being investigated by multiple states in the US, you probably need that money for lawyers and shit. Activision, fuck you. It's interesting. Like, I'm kind of. It's not that I don't want to have a stance on it. I just can't be fucking bothered. It's frustrating. Very similar.
It's such a shitty situation that seems like that should just have an obvious answer.
Yeah, the obvious answer is don't treat people poorly.
Yeah, but apparently that's just not.
That's too much. Allegedly, that is too much to ask of a company, is to just not be shit to people. Like, I understand. Like, I'm very aware that some of the world's greatest achievements have been built on slavery, misery, and mistreatment of other individuals. Like, those pyramids were made by hand, not by kind love supports and not crunch. But we're better than that now. Let's be better.
Apparently we're not.
Let's be better. We should be better. Speaking of things that could be better, BioShock Rumours, Max. So
how dare you not read the title that I painstakingly worked hard.
BioShocking Rumours is
Thank
what
you.
Max has wrote. BioShocking Rumours. I'll let that hang for a minute for those of you, just so you're gonna sit there with your headphones on and go.
How dare you insult my dad jokes?
Nice.
That took me like a solid 4 seconds to work on.
BioShock Isolation is the newest rumor within the game space. Word comes way of Oops Leaks on Twitter. However, there is a lot that comes from Colin Moriarty over at Sacred Symbols. So I will give credit to him as well. So where there have been the alleged logo for the rumor title has been shown. In this particular Twitter post, it says, quote, BioShock Isolation, set in a new-to-franchise isolated dystopian city, Unreal Engine 5, developed by Irrational Games veterans and people who worked on Watch Dogs Legion, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Mafia 3, Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and is to be announced in the Q1 of 2022.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't work out, for the life of me, I could not remember what the MD stood for. And I'm like, I don't remember Deus Ex being a medical doctor.
I don't think it's not. Deus Ex
Mankind. Mankind. Thank you.
We do have confirmation that a BioShock game is in development with a team called Cloud Chamber, which is made up by ex-Irrational Games employees. And a website emerged over the weekend, thereisalwaysalighthouse.com, which is allegedly related to said project, although there's basically nothing on that page other than the word "stay tuned" in the title.
And confirm.
Yeah, despite the leak account's claim, there could be some kind of announcement at the Game Awards next week. Jeff Keighley said on Twitter this weekend that there's one announcement we've been working on development for 2.5 years, and the new BioShock was officially announced by 2K Games 2 years ago, so it fits. So in addition to this, so if anyone that listens to Sacred Symbols, which is a much better PlayStation podcast than us, they are a massive inspiration to me particularly. So in there, Colin Moriarty has a big discussion on information that he has been able to obtain about this upcoming BioShock game, and he also goes into the details of how he has his sources, how he finds his individual, and his points of checking the information and the validity of it before he starts publishing or before he puts it onto a podcast, right? Pardon me. So with that in mind, so there has been some additions. So allegedly it's set in the 60s. It is in the Antarctic. So it's not in the sky. It's not in underwater. It's in this weird middle ground of ice.
In the frozen wasteland.
In the frozen wasteland. So, and part of their biggest concern around the title is that they're ensuring that it beats and delivers compared to BioShock 1. So there's sort of this fear of nostalgia. Because in conjunction, there was discussion around there being a BioShock remake or a BioShock remaster. Or actually, according to the GeForce leak from earlier in the year, it was mentioned as a BioShock RTX remaster. So it's safe to presume that they'll be releasing a version of it with ray tracing and some improvements, which could eventually lead to a PS5 version of the game coming out as well. So yeah, as long as they can deliver more than that, according to Colin, is what the plan would be. So there was also speculation because he did, in one of the sources that he did validate, their information kind of contradicted these points, but that was also on the preface that this game may likely have been rebooted at some point and restarted. So it either that or they're looking at doing multiple locations. So it's interesting, and I guess we'll find out more. And the original plan was for the Game Awards, but they've since pushed it back into the new year. Max, where do you stand on this new BioShock game potential?
It's hard. BioShock is such an iconic series that I think a lot of us will always look at it through rose-tinted glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever comes, because obviously this won't be headed by Ken Levine.
No.
So it's going to be arguably a very different game, and it'll just depend on how you view it. And it's really hard for especially teams like that to take on, especially if it has that BioShock moniker in it. People are going to expect a certain thing, and if they're not getting it, I feel that no matter how good that game may be, there's always that in the back of their mind going, well, it's not a BioShock game, is it? Why has it got that BioShock title attached to it?
Yeah.
And it feels like it could almost be putting itself back before it even gets out of the gate type thing.
Yeah, it's very likely, isn't it? Like you look at it and you go, well, they could really fuck this. And it's very similar to what's some other things that we've experienced. Like
But even if they don't, like even if it comes out and it's a banger, but it's not a BioShock game and it has that title, people are like, well, it's still not a BioShock game.
Well, it's like when Prey came out and they were like, oh, this is kind of a soft reboot of Prey, and it's nothing like the original Prey.
Yeah.
You know? So it is that sort of weird space. No, and the chat mentions the idea of Metal Gear Solid, I presume. Well, that's the idea. It's the same concept, right? So if Konami decide to continue on Metal Gear Solid without Kojima, you're like, no, it's not really a Metal Gear Solid game, is it? You know, or even it's like most movies, right? Like when they like soft reboot something like Ghostbusters, you're like, well, it's Ghostbusters in name, but it's not really Ghostbusters now, is it?
Mm.
And I guess it's that same sort of feeling here. And like, yeah, without Ken Levine, it is, as you said, it's going to be a different delivery. It's going to be a different kind of game.
It is Ken Levine, right? I'm not.
Yeah, you are correct. It's
crazy.
Ken
Yeah,
Levine.
cool.
Yeah. So that's going to change it. And then also, if you try to pull off Levine's style and it doesn't land, that's going to be a concern in and of itself. Yeah, look, I don't have the rose-tinted glasses look at BioShock. I really enjoyed BioShock. I never finished it, never played 2, never played Infinite.
I've only played 2 and Infinite, which is, I know.
Yeah, so we did
sacrilege.
get it. We did get it for free as part of the PS Plus because I did want to buy it for the longest time. Oh, really?
Yeah. And I will just decide to talk a little bit and then go back.
Okay. So James just comes in to tell me that they're seeing the Christmas tree up. So that's exciting.
Woo.
Yes. There's a Santa. Wow. Well, no way. Well, when I'm finished here, buddy, I'll come and help you, and I'll come look at it.
Can you look a little bit and then come back?
Yeah. Okay. I'll come back.
Right now?
No, I'm talking on this. Still talking to Max, and he's gone. Shut the door, please. Thanks, bud. He's very excited about his Christmas tree. So because it's his birthday this week, so we don't do the Christmas tree until after his birthday, with the idea to separate his birthday and Christmas, so he knows that, like, because even someone like myself who was born in the beginning of November, like, I spent a lot of my youth growing up in because of a lower middle class household. Like, my birthday and Christmas were like, look, you're gonna get one big fucking present, and it's gonna be Christmas, and so your birthday kind of means nothing.
Yeah, my kid's birthday is on the 23rd of December.
You're in the same. You will be in the same boat. So you can't avoid the setting up of the tree. but there's going to be tough to create that separator between the two events.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've got my train of thought. Yeah. So I may go back and replay it for no fucking reason. Like if I have some downtime, I'm like, I might play BioShock because like I wanted to buy that BioShock collection for like the longest time. I just never pulled the trigger, and then having it free was kind of possibly enough. There's a lot of expectation on this game, and I think that's where its biggest contention is. I think.
Alrighty, quick bits. The YouTube app on PlayStation 5 now supports HDR with its latest update. Dying Light 2 Stay Human has gone gold ahead of its February release next year.
That is so good to be able to go gold now.
That's so good. And found deep in the back end of the PlayStation Store, The Matrix Awakens could possibly be an interactive tie-in to the upcoming movie.
Hey, there you go. Like, so look, this could be fun because I really enjoyed Enter the Matrix and Matrix Path of Neo. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So obviously for you, biggest quick bitty here is
It's obviously Dying Light 2 not going to get delayed anymore because it's gone gold.
Yeah. How does that make you feel, Max?
Oh, man. Look, I've been waiting for this game for the better part of like 2 years now because for a while it went through development hell. It was delayed indefinitely for a while there. Then I believe it was actually supposed to be released this week at one point.
Yeah, so to have it go gold now is actually really, really good news.
I would have loved for it to have come out now because February is just this horrendous shit show of games. Like, don't get me wrong, all those games that are coming out in February are going to be absolutely fantastic. But we've got, Dying Light 2, I believe, is in the first 2 weeks. Then we've got Horizon Forbidden West. We've got Destiny 2 expansions. We've got Elden Ring. We've got True Colors, the Life is Strange stuff. We've got Sifu has been moved to the front end of February now instead of the back end of February. There's just so many titles in February that have all piqued my interest, and none of them are short games.
No,
except for maybe Sifu.
Yeah, potentially. It might be short because I'll be shit at it, but like it's probably the only possible reason. But that's right. There are still some games to play in the upcoming week. These are the new releases. So we got White Shadows coming to PS5 on December 7th. Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, which is an expansion to the Final Fantasy XIV online MMORPG. That is coming to both PC, PS4 and PS5.
Just to cut in really quickly, that's currently live now. If you bought the digital deluxe edition, there's 4 days of early access. But last time I checked, there was, for the server that I play on anyway, there was 28,000 people in queue to log in, and the servers went down for maintenance before we got to log in.
Good news. Good news, everyone playing.
So good luck
to
those playing in the 4 days of early access.
Yeah, so that's coming to PS4, PS5 on December 7th. Heavenly Bodies coming to PS4 and PS5 on December 7th as well. And Witchwood coming to PS4 and PS5 December 9th. Now, there is likely to be more coming during the week that we don't know about, we don't give a fucking shit about. Probably some independent games that may not even release here in Australia. But there you go. That does bring us to the end of another episode. Big thank you for everyone for joining us once again. We really appreciate you taking the time out of either your Saturday or your Sunday, whenever we go live here on Twitch, or just taking time out of your week to listen to the show. We do appreciate every single one of you. We may not know who you are. We'd love to know who you are. So always hit us up, chat to us. We're keen to know whoever takes the time to listen to our absolute nonsense.
Just before we completely wrap up too, I would like to recommend another podcast to listen to this week, specifically because friend of the show, Shane Bailey, who we've both guested on his show, he guest hosted DLC this week and got to talk all about his work with Game on Cancer. And it is a super, super awesome listen, and you should definitely check it out.
100%. So Shane, is a huge friend of the show. He and I go way back. When he started when he was working in games PR, we met that way, and we became good friends, which is awesome. And then to now see him step away from that and go into a more charity-based space, with Game on Cancer, using sort of gaming culture and influence, that's whatever, to help tackle cancer. So fuck yeah. I know, Max, you're a huge fan of the DLC podcast already, so you can shit your pants when you heard a friend of ours was going on there. But of course, also check out his show as well, Question Box, which, as Max has said, both he and I have guested on. But yeah, go give it some love. Go support Game on Cancer. It's on social medias as well. Donate some dollary dues if you have the capability to do so, because it's good shit.
Yeah, very good show.
All right, Max, now you can send us home.
All right, everybody. This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, come and check out our socials. Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join us as the conversation happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures, where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation Pod. If you are listening to us on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. And if you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as our merchandise store, popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And that was For the Players.